Welcome, Jai Ganga. We thought originally we were thinking of doing it in the office, but I just thought that the banks of Mother Ganga is the best place to be. And so all of your viewers and all of the people joining us on the call be able to see the flow of Mother Ganga. Because I think the flow of Mother Ganga is so much an example of what you were sharing, Shivani ji, of that. How do we move in life? You know, whether we have obstacles, whether things come in our life, pain in any form, suffering in any form is an opportunity for us to grow. You were mentioning how your father was suffering from cancer. And that was the time when you were inquiring, what is your role? What is the right thing to do? What is your duty? What is your karma? And I think so many of us have pain as a stimulus, as a catalyst rather, to self-inquiry, to really, I think it's a way, एक माध्यम है कि हमें कैसे, अगर हमारे जीवन में दिशा बदलनी है, तो कभी कभी हम एक path पे चलते हैं, we get very comfortable in that path. And it's until we have something, कोई दुखद घटना होती है या कोई ऐसी situation होती है जिसमें हमें पीड़ा होती है, तो वही पीड़ा हमारे लिए कभी कभी प्रेरणा का कार्य करती है. And then we change our direction and we find a path. And yoga teaches us to be able to see pain, to be able to see the transience of life, to be able to see the changing nature of the material world, and not to get bogged down by it, not to get disheartened by it, but actually to move through the world as a yogi. You know, from my personal practice, I feel it's much like like a yoga is like an oil that just kind of oils me all around and protects me. The sutras of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the more you reflect on it, the more you chant on it, you are able to see the depth and the understanding of how to live in life. And I had prepared a PowerPoint. I had prepared, we were sitting on the banks of Ganga, so you're going to see people walking in my frame, by the way, which is also a very beautiful thing about life, like obstacles kind of move in and out of life, but not to get affected and to stay focused on your dharma, and that's what Ganga teaches us also. As I said, I had prepared PowerPoint and whatnot, and I thought, you know what? Let me speak from the heart. Let me speak from what I have experienced. Because Shivani ji, you've selected people on this call who are young people who are speaking and sharing what yoga has brought to them, what the yogic experience has been for them, and how that truth reflects in their life. So I thought, what better way to do it than to do it from the heart, do it from what I've learned, what I've experienced. There's a beautiful story I was thinking yesterday. Shivani ji, we here at the ashram, we have a daily schedule. And one of the things in the schedule is a evening satsang immediately after the Ganga Aarti. And during those satsangs, we have Sadhiji share quite frequently, Sadhi Bhagavati Saraswati ji, she shares quite frequently this story. And I've heard Pujya Swamiji share it as well. And stories have a way of getting at the truth. So when we share this story, kind of reflect on what it means on a deeper level. So there's this woman who goes to the doctor and she says, doctor, whatever I touch, जो भी मैं छूती हूँ वो दर्द करता है. मेरा सिर दर्द करता, मेरा पेट दर्द करता, मेरा हाथ दर्द करता, मेरा पैर दर्द करता, जो भी मैं छूती हूँ वो दर्द करता है. So then doctor runs a whole battery of tests on her. सब सारा टेस्ट करवाते हैं, and then she says, come back in a week. एक हफ्ते के बाद आइए. So she comes back in a week and meets the doctor and says, The doctor says, well, I've got two news for you. I've got a good news for you. I've got a bad news for you. Which one would you like to hear first? He gives her a choice. And she says, well, obviously, I would like to hear the good news. And he says, well, so you don't have any problem in your head. You don't have any problem in your stomach. Your, feet are fine. Your body otherwise is fine. Wherever you are complaining about, there's nothing wrong with those parts of your body. Well, she says, well, that's really good news. So then what's the bad news? And he says, well, the part of your finger that you are touching your body, that's broken. And therefore, whatever you're touching with that is hurting. So it's not your stomach that's hurting, it's your broken finger that's hurting. And it's really beautiful because when Guruji and Sadhguruji share that story, it's how we move through life. We think this is the problem, or that person is the problem, or that situation is the problem, or that is the trigger. But actually, the one who is being triggered, the one who is experiencing the pain, the one who is seeing the situation as a problem, that one is actually the problem. And yoga teaches us that. Yoga teaches us the ultimate truth is that we are pure bliss. When we say Satchitanand, we are that, and in yoga, when they say, how do we go? So when we move around in the world, we seek and we interact with the world and we know the world through what we say, right knowledge, Praman. But how do we get right knowledge, right? The Yoga Sutra says we can get knowledge, right knowledge, in three ways. We can get it with pratyaksha, direct experience, anumana, inference. So for example, you see water on the ground. Okay, it's kind of rainy, right? You're not here, personally here on the banks of Ganga, seeing the rain. But you can understand that it's a rainy, cloudy day. So that is anumana. You're taking an inference of the situation and you're gaining some knowledge from that inference. So either you can get a direct experience, or you can get knowledge through inference, or you can get knowledge through agam, some direct source, some trusted source. So say, for example, the scriptures can be agam, spiritual leaders can be agam. They can teach us, they can give us knowledge that we do not have, right? So one of the ways that we know who are we? This is a question that we ask. So when we go to, maybe we don't know who we are. Maybe we don't have an experience of who we really are. But our scriptures and our saints tell us, and we get that information through right knowledge and agam. We trust that source, the scriptures and the saints, the realized masters. They say we are Satchit Anand. What is the nature of who we are? We are truth. We are pure bliss consciousness. So if we are that, then why is our real life experience clouded? Why do we not feel blissful? Why do we not feel like we are love? We are pure emanating love. Why is our real life experience of pain and suffering? And even when we experience happiness, why is it fleeting? For example, many of us seek happiness and joy by, external situation, right? So for example, many of us will say, okay, well, what we need really is a retreat, you know, we need a holiday, and we will pack everything and we will go and we will get a holiday, you know, beautiful pina coladas by the island, or hum kahin pe jate hain, Goa jate hain, enjoy karte hain, wapas aate hain, and then back to the same. Kisi ne kuch keh diya and we're all upset. Why does that holiday not last with us? So again, saying, okay, so we are Satchidanand. Our inner reality is not feeling like that. We feel like we are pain and suffering. And even when we have these fleeting moments of joy, they are as long as that stimulus. So we watch a great film and we're really happy with our friends. Yeah, ice cream kaya. We really enjoyed the ice cream. And then ice cream is over. And Puja Swamiji was just saying in the eye feed the other day, happiness is over, right? So why is our happiness so fleeting, so temporary? When we speak about this session is dedicated to yoga and happiness, the path to happiness. Well, when we go on a path and we meet somebody we love, we enjoy being around, we really like, then we don't want them to be temporary, right? We want to be with them all the time. We want them in our lives. And so if we like that state of joy and happiness and bliss, we want to see how can we hold on to that a little longer? How can it not be just ki jab tak ek stimulus hai, tab tak main khush hu, right? So then it leads us into this path of how do we get to a place where our happiness is not stolen, it's not hijacked by situations, by people, by things? How do we allow ourselves to get at a place of joy that cannot be interrupted, that cannot be stolen? And then we look at, well, what is the type of happiness that we're going for? In Hindi, the beautiful, beautiful language. I mean, Sanskrit is even more profound, but Hindi is also so beautiful. In Hindi, you have, I'm originally born and raised in America, right? So Hindi was not my first tongue. Meri pehli bhasha Hindi nahi thi. Lekin as I learn Hindi, I have such appreciation for the language. Because Hindi mein hi, happiness has so many different ways of saying, right? Khushi, anand, sukh, right? Sukh ka opposite, dukh, but khushi, anand, paramanand, so many different levels of happiness. So as we are yogis, we try to discriminate. Sukh and dukh are together. Wherever we have happiness, we might have sadness also. So what we're looking for is not happiness that is clubbed together with sadness. We're looking for a balanced state of mind, an equanimity. And this is where we get at Bhagavad Gita, where it says, Samatvam yoga uchyate. Samatvam yoga uchyate. What is the nature of happiness that we're seeking? We're seeking a happiness that is not fleeting. We're seeking a happiness that is not, you know, it's like the coin, heads and tails. Heads flip kiya to tails to kabhi kabhi aayega, right? So we get sukh, dukh to kabhi kabhi aayega. वो जीवन में आता है. लेकिन ऐसी एक स्थिति है, there's a place where we can be, which is samatvam, which is not, as Pujya Swamiji often reminds us, is not going up and down. Situations go up and down, things go up and down, things don't happen the way we wanted, but we are not up and down. How can we get there? And yoga teaches us we can get there with a balanced state of mind. We can get there if we maintain an equanimity in our life, samatva. How do we reach there? How do we reach in a place? This is where in yoga, when we look at the yama and niyama, we're talking about these values, right? Santosha, contentment. It's not more, because it's never ending. It's what we have is more than enough. It's so flowing, it's so full, it's so much that my cup runneth over. मुझे जितना चाहिए उससे कहीं ज्यादा भगवान ने मुझे दिया है, ये एहसास हमारी है. And the banks of Ganga has taught me that, you know, we don't have so much, but what we have is more than enough. When we live our lives in these values, aparigraha, asteya, brahmacharya, what are these yamas and niyamas? They are keys, they are tools, they are rishis who are saying, no, it's not you should be a good person, thou should be a good person. Thou shalt be a good person by following these 11 commandments. They're not like that. These are saints and yogis. Patanjali was someone who has reached a state where he's saying, out of that state of compassion, listen, these are tools on this path. You need some signs and you need some direction. These are things that will keep you on track. These yamas and niyamas are things that will keep you on track. Non-violence. Yes, satya, truth. These are values. They will keep you on track. On track of what? On track of the path to a happiness that is not fleeting. On track to a balanced state of mind, which can keep you in the most optimal situation in any given situation in life. It can keep you at the most optimal state, I would say, at any given situation of life. He's telling you these things. Here are the yamas and niyamas. Lead your life by this. You will be on the path of happiness. And then even he's saying, okay, if you are leading and living in a social world, because we are social beings, parikramas, yeah? So if you find somebody who is happy, how should you behave? You should be maitri. You should be friendly with the person who is happy. Yay, wonderful. I'm so happy that you are happy. I'm so glad that you are happy. Yoga Sutras teaches us how should we behave with those around us. Yes, if someone is conniving, is thinking and plotting behind you, how should you be? Diksha, indifferent. Their karma will lead them in that direction, wherever they need to go. You don't have to be the karmic police. How many times in our lives there's somebody who's thinking bad about us and we keep thinking about that person? Oh my God, you know, this person is just out to maybe tang ki chai. Somebody at our work stealing all our credit. And we keep thinking about, and that person occupies so much time and energy in our lives. Yoga Sutras teaches us somebody who is like that, somebody who is actually thinking about you and trying to take that, trying to do everything against you, even how you should behave with that person, indifferent. You keep focused. How should you behave with somebody who is noble, who is doing good acts? You should think well of them. You should give them blessings. You should have that compassion for those people. And then wherever you can, join them, I would say. So these are things that we are, you know, how should you be with somebody who is in pain, who's in dukkha, who's experienced dukkha? Compassion. Yeah, the people who are doing noble acts, you should laud them, appreciate them. These are sutras that we should reflect on. You know, 1 hour session will not be able to cover all of the beautiful sutras. But when we reflect on these sutras, we have the tools, the way to the path to happiness is to realize that our basic karma, our basic nature, our state And I love, you know, the banks of Ganga because it teaches us that. So Ganga is never confused. Yeah, Ganga is like the ultimate example of what the path of happiness should be like, right? Always flowing, always giving, always blissful. Today we are, you know, doing this Aarti awareness training with Namami Gange, and we were cleaning the banks of Ganga with like buckets and buckets of water. And as we were cleaning, like, you know, like it was an hour and we're still full of energy, because I was thinking, you know, the water is fueling us. Gangaji fuels us. She is the one who is cleaning herself through us. She is cleaning her banks through us. To realize we are just vessels of grace. We are just instruments of the divine. And then to work on those things that are the obstacles. Right? What are the obstacles? What comes in our way? To look at what comes in our way. And the Yoga Sutras focuses on that. It tells you, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga Sutra number 2. How do you get to that place of a balanced state of mind? You learn to have control of the modifications of the mind, the activities of the mind. How do you control the activities of the mind? Because the mind is like a monkey mind. It is going into past, present, future. It doesn't stay in the present. How do you control it? It's so difficult, right? It's like Arjuna is saying to Shri Krishna, oh my God, it's like controlling the mind is like, you know, trying to tame 100 elephants. He's giving all these examples. It's the most difficult task in the world to control the mind. So then, Patanjali tells us, Tada drushtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Tada drushtuhu swarupe avasthanam. If you've learned to control, he's giving us the carrot. What is the carrot? If you've learned to control the mind, you are established in the self. But if you are not, you don't, then what are you? Where are you? And then he says, vritti sarupe itaratra. Vritti swarupyam itaratra. Of course, Sanskrit is not my native language, but I'm learning these sutras, and it's more important that we realize the essence of the sutras as well as learn how to say them. Because Sanskrit is so beautiful, I think the language and the meaning has it together. So for everybody watching, please learn how to chant the sutras. Learn to introspect on the sutras. Take one of the sutras, reflect on them. So he's saying, vritti sarupa itaratta. Then you identify. If you're not established in the self, then you are identifying with the fluctuations of the mind. And that is setting you up for a life of misery. Because they're not stable, right? What are the fluctuations of the mind? He says 2 types, klishta, aklishtaha. Most of us are in the state of the klishtaha, that which is entangling us, that which keeps us bound. He's saying how to do it. We need to move away from the klishta and harbor and train ourselves in the aklishtaha. How do we do the aklishtaha? This is where, from what I've learned, this training of, okay, I'm coming into this negative pattern of thinking. How do I change it into a positive pattern of thinking? How to unentangle myself? And that is the most difficult. I mean, asana, pranayama are so much easier than actually working on the level of the mind, working on the level of the patterns of our behavior. And how do we undo those patterns? That process is yoga. Yoga is not at the level of the body. Yoga is at the level of the chitta, the level of the mind. We talk about chitta mala, the impurities of the chitta. Sure, you need to work on the impurities of the body. Sure, you need to do the kriya. Sure, you need to do the asana. Sure, you need to do the prana, because the body is the instrument through which you are experiencing the chitta. But the cleaning needs to happen at the chitta level. How do we work at the chitta level? Because the chitta is so filled with impressions, filled with patterns. It's so easy for us. But then to become in the state of yoga where we reflect on what are these patterns that keep us bound. And that is yoga. That is when we are doing yoga. We could go on and on about all of these, but I wanted to look at just kind of that state of we are happiness, but then what obstacles are created along the way are actually not created by people, situations, persons, circumstances. They're actually created by the one who is seeing, the one who is experiencing. So that was point number one. Point number two is then how do we work on that one who is experiencing, the one who is seeing, the one who is perceiving, and how can we have right perception? That work of working on that right perception is yoga. And then yoga gives us tools, techniques, technologies, tips, ways. How do we use those ways? Well, it says, Ashtanga yoga is one way. Yes, yam, niyam, asana, pranayama, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. That's one way. Kriya yoga, another way. Abhyasa, vairagya, another way. It's what suits you. It's like if you go down to the banks of Ganga, some people like, steps down to the banks of Ganga. Some people are more adventurous. They want to, just jump off of a cliff into Ganga, and some people like a sandy beach. So it's like whatever seeker you are, Yoga Sutras gives you. If you're an advanced seeker, Abhyas and Vairagya. Those are tracks of this path to happiness. And I love Abhyas and Vairagya. I love that in the Yoga Sutras where it speaks about in the first chapter about Abhyas and Vairagya. And I was so fortunate to be at many events, but there was this one particular event where I heard from Dr. Arif Muhammad Khan Saab, and he quoted Swami Vivekananda. And it's really hit me deep. Sometimes you hear wisdom and there's one thing that you just, it sticks to you. And just hold on to that, and just kind of let it digest, like the candy that you kind of just suck on. And it was that one of those things, those quotes, Swami Vivekananda. And he says, there are two national ideals of India. What is it? He says, service and renunciation. Intensify her in these two channels and all else will be taken care of. I love that. Because so much of the path that we live here at the ashram that I see Puja Swamiji and Sadhiji exemplify is the path of service and renunciation. And it is not because, again, these are not actions of service. We don't do service from a place of, I'm a good Samaritan. By doing that, I'm a good person. No, we do it because we realize that the one who is suffering, or that, that earth that is parched, is us. We are connected so intricately, so intertwined. We are one. And when we are one, how can we not but serve? And that place of, beauty of Abhyas and Vairagya is one leads to the other. The more you serve, the more you serve, the more you realize there's so much to do in this world. And then you're like, well, then there's so much to do in the world. Clearly, I cannot do all of it. And yet, it's not a place where you do because you are expecting a fruit of your action, right? Yoga karma sukoshalam. Yes, you should do action. Gita teaches us, right? All about karma yoga. Teaches us how should you do action. You should do action. And I love, Sadhiji speaks so beautifully about how Pujya Swamiji told her how to do action. And Shivaniji, you were speaking, coming at a place where what kind of action should I do? So I should do action under the shade. I should do karma under the shade of dharma with an awareness of Brahma. So beautiful. So beautiful. How should I do action? I should do action that is under the umbrella of dharma, of righteousness, of what is my duty. With an awareness of Brahma. With an awareness of the one who I am ever connected to. I do this, but it's not necessarily this. It's all of this. It's all of this. It's all around. Isha vasavidam sarvam tatkichit jagattam jagat. Tena taktena bhunjita. Yeah, well, what are these mantras? These mantras tell us. Shivaniji, I'm actually not keeping a track of time. I'm just flowing. So when it's my time, will you say something?
Nandini ji, that's completely fine. It's so beautiful listening at you. And you can keep going. We still have 20 minutes. So you can still going. And we'll just keep 10 minutes before. So that if anyone from the attendees have any questions, that could be addressed very well by you.
Lovely. So I'll just let me know after 10 minutes, will you?
We have 20 minutes to go, so don't worry. You can keep going. Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect. I figured I could make slides and do PowerPoint presentations, but what I've learned from the banks of Mother Ganga, from being around saints, I just wanted to share that. So those even in the Upanishads, when they're talking about Yoga Sutras are steeped in Samkhya philosophy. This philosophy is rooted in the Vedas. Whether it's the Vedas or the Upanishads or the Gita or Samkhya or Yoga Sutras, these scriptures. Oh my God, these scriptures. Wow, this is the elixir that our saints have given us. Upanishads teaches where is God? God is all around us, is permeating. I love, another reference because, we listen to satsang so often. So those references come. The Sadhiji says so beautifully, we are not made by God. It's not like God has created us and then God is separate. We are separate. We are made of God. And sometimes we don't have to speak so much. I mean, we just reflect on we are made of God. What does that mean? That means we are never separate from God. We are but God. Yes. And yet, our experiential reality feels like we are part. We are part. We are not all of God. And that's beautiful. It's like the waters of Ganga. When you take Ganga Jal, it's pure, it's beautiful. We take Ganga Jal and we put it in our mandir. Yes, it's holy, it's sacred, but it's not Ganga. It's not Ganga entirely, right? It's the same thing. We are the same material. We are made out of the same matter, so to speak, of God. But we are not all of God. And then how do we, this is where when we go back to the words of happiness, we speak about Anand, and then we speak about Paramanand, right? was the Anand at the experiential level. And yet there is a higher level of Anand, which is Paramanand. I love it when you go into understanding of the Panchakoshas, right? Panchakoshas are the 5 sheaths, energetic sheaths of the body, right? So you look at the most gross level, Annamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, yeah? And you just kind of like keep Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and then the Anandamaya Kosha. That level where you are Anand, you are just pure bliss, you are pure consciousness. In that level, it's not like life stops happening. It's just the one who is perceiving life has changed. The perception of life has changed. You know, so many times when we are, I see a lot of people who are on the path of yoga, who are doing yoga and who are practicing yoga, and I kind of see like hamari jo style of yoga is so different, right? I see people doing yoga in like a studio, yoga within like a very controlled environment, and here I am like every day we're out in Aarti and there's like hundreds of thousands of people, you know, or you know, somebody has come here and we are out in service, or there's a training and we are, you know, putting buckets and buckets of water, and you know, it's like that's been my yoga. And I think a place where I realized how fortunate I really am to have that experience of yoga as life, being at the feet of realized masters, being at the feet of saints. Because you can go to somebody who's, and mind you, being on a path where you are in a yoga studio and you are studying the sutras and you're you know, studying the asanas and you're fixing your alignment and you're realizing, okay, your right toe where it should be, your back foot where it should be, where should your hands be. That's beautiful. That discipline is required. Of course it's required, but that is not all. It's the same thing. It's like part of yoga, but not all of yoga. So we were talking about now part of God, but not all of God. Part of Ganga, but not all of Ganga. You see, there's these concepts that kind of thread all of these beads together. This is a concept, right? It's like we do all these limbs of yoga, but to have that awareness that these limbs of yoga are not all of yoga. The saints have blessed us with the path or the striving towards yoga is also yoga. Yes, trying to reach that state of union, trying to reach that state of who you are, who you really are, moving all of the obstacles out of the way, that path, that striving is also yoga. And that state is the ultimate yoga. Right? It's not even, you know, when I was studying the Yoga Sutras, the level of samadhi. Who does that? What civilization in the world has labeled out the levels of samadhi? Asampragnata samadhi, nirviga samadhi. I mean, who does that? Our saints did that. And we're so fortunate. Those who are watching who are born and raised in India, so fortunate. Those who are not, if you're here in this space, you're so fortunate. This knowledge, it's liberating. It teaches us. It's not just the path of yoga. Yes, you should be on the path of, but you are happiness. It's not being on the path of happiness. It is you are happiness. You are happiness. You are bliss. You are ananda. If you are, then it's what you are not that we need to work on. And you know, one of the stories that I want to bring up again that we share in our satsangs, it's the story of the Golden Buddha. the last story, and then we'll do a little meditation. And the story of the Golden Buddha goes that in Tibet, there's a place where these monks, they meditate around this idol of a golden Buddha. Meditate and they do their abhyas, they do their practices. And one day, there are invaders that come and they loot everything, and they hear about the invaders coming, right? And they know they're coming, and they unfortunately cannot run away quick enough. So what do? They take mud and they pack this golden Buddha with mud, because if it looks like a mud Buddha, it won't be valuable, right? A mud Buddha won't be something that they can melt and use for money. Won't be valuable to them. So they pack this golden Buddha with all of this mud, and they protect them, because to them, the most valuable, even more valuable than their lives, was this Buddha from whom they have learned everything. And the looters come, and of course they invade everything, they kill everyone, and they ransack the whole land. But they leave the mud Buddha. And years later, there are Buddhists who come around the monastery, and they see the mud Buddha, and they sit around the mud Buddha, and they sit and they meditate. And one day they decide to wash the mud Buddha. And as they're washing the mud, there's something that starts glimmering, something that starts shining. Like, oh, what is this? And they start unraveling and unpacking the mud. They say, oh my God, here is this mud Buddha, but it's actually a golden Buddha. I love, when I hear that story in our satsang, because it's so true about who we are, right? It's like when we do yoga, we unravel these layers and layers and layers and layers of who we are not. And of course, there are reasons why we put those layers on us to protect ourselves. At least we were thinking we were trying to protect ourselves. And so we put all these layers of ego and desires and expectations and these layers and layers and layers and layers, and these layers we begin to associate as us. We begin to think that we are actually mud. Unfortunate situation. And yet the waters of yoga come, and they wash away those layers of mud. Realize, oh my God, lo and behold, we are golden. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purna, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnam. We are full, we are complete, we are whole. We are made by God. We are part and parcel of God. We are ever connected to God. We are not this mud. We are not these vrittis, these changing modifications of the mind. Right? This is where yoga speaks about what are these kleshas? What are these 5 kleshas? Avidya, smita, raga, dvesha. All of these things, but the root of this ignorance of thinking who we are not is who we are. This ignorance, what is the root of vidya? What do? We get at the root. When you look at a tree and the tree is ailing, you could go and try to wipe out the branches and try to water the branches, but that's not going to help, right? You have to work at the root. That's where we look at the vidya. So avidya is the problem. Avidya is the reason why we begin to associate with we are pain and suffering. This situation in my life is who we are. No, it's not who you are. You are soul, you are consciousness. You are that which can never be created nor destroyed. You are something that swords cannot cut. You are something that fire cannot burn. So Gita tells us, who are you? You are that. How? We are that. How do we experience that? You do that through yoga. You do that through the path of yoga. How do we walk the path of yoga? We listen to the sutras, we reflect on the sutras, we work on making our klesha vrittis, our aklishta vrittis. We work on rising above the negative and the positive even. So the third stage. But from the deep compassion that saints had, right? So start somewhere. If you're somebody who has all kinds of addictions, start somewhere. Just take one pledge. Yesterday in the Aarti, Puja Swamiji was leading us in a pledge, and he's like, protect the earth, stop using plastic, plant trees. And he says, you know what? You can't stop using plastic, reduce the use of plastic. Start somewhere, baby steps. Such compassion, right? Like start somewhere, start your journey somewhere. You can't wake up at 5 in the morning, fine. Wake up at 7, wake up at 6. Start somewhere, make baby steps, be consistent, show up. When you show up, as they say, you walk, 2 steps, God walks 100. And really, I felt God just showers down. So I wanted to take the last few moments to do a meditation on this, what we were speaking about. So in summary, what we were speaking about when we say yoga is a path to happiness. Well, yes, the path to happiness, but we are happiness. What is the nature of that happiness? That nature of the happiness that we're seeking is rooted in a balanced state of mind, is rooted in samatvam, in equanimity. How do we establish ourselves in that state of mind? These paths are given, whether we choose abhyas or vairagya as a path, whether we choose kriya yoga as a path, tapaswadhyaya ishwar pranidhyana, or whether we choose the yama niyama as a path, or whether we choose a little bit of all of them as a path. That also could be. These are tools. They give us tools. They're like signposts on this path. And ultimately, what is the goal of this path? To realize there is nowhere to reach. We're already where we are supposed to be. Yeah, there is no path. We are happiness. There is no destination of happiness. We are that. Life is that. I realize the path has become us. We have become the path. Then we become the path. Then people come to us saying, oh, you look like you are so ecstatic. Sometimes people come to me and they say, oh, you look like you're so happy in Aarti. When you're doing Aarti, there's such bliss. And I was like, yeah, I guess, it happens. Because then when you merge with that path, then you become the path for others. And so let us just take a few minutes. We'll meditate and then we will take question and answers. Shivani ji, we have time for a quick 5-minute meditation.
Yes, indeed, Nandini ji, we have. And it's just that you have to switch on your video and switch off your video because your video is stuck because of bad internet, I believe. Can you, yeah.
Sure. video needs to be turned off and on.
Again, yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Is it better now?
Yes, it's good now.
It got stuck. But audio was coming, right?
Yes, the audio was there.
Wonderful, wonderful.
God didn't want us to miss any word of yours.
Good, I'm glad. Okay. God is the one who is flowing all of this anyway. So let us close our eyes and let's close our eyes and bring our awareness to our breath. And I'm sitting here on the banks of Mother Ganga. I'm not sure if you can hear the currents of Mother Ganga, but you can hear the rushing waters of Mother Ganga, and can't hear the rushing waters. It's okay. Know that being connected on this call, you are here on the banks of Mother Ganga. The waters of Mother Ganga are rushing past here. It's been raining here, so it's high current. As it rushes past, it's cleaning. It's not just rushing besides us. The waters of Ganga is Ma. Why is Ganga so sacred? Why is Ganga so holy? Why is Ganga the one who is the key, the tool to ultimate bliss and happiness? Why, when we take a bath in Ganga, we feel so ecstatic? Because Ganga is bliss, is joy. The name of Nandini. Nandini is also another name for Ganga, the one who gives us pure joy, pure bliss. She is an embodiment of who we are, that state of Satchit Anand. So as we close our eyes and we tap into that energy that is always there, it's not something we are creating. It's actually, we are just trying to wash those windows. We're trying to wash the lens through which we see the world as clouded. So how do we wash? Well, when we wash, we need to find out, well, what is that is dirty? What is that is not us? So we look at the most gross level, right? Our body, our clothes. Most of us, hopefully, are all wearing clothes. So we are bringing our awareness to the clothes that we are wearing. Say, okay, well, we have clothes, but we are not the clothes. That's simple. That's easy. Let's try to take it deeper. We have a body. So we have this body. Most of us are sitting on a chair, maybe sitting on the ground. I'm aware of our body. Let's become aware of our body. But we have a body, but we are not the body. When the body is asleep, we are still there. We are still alive. We are still conscious. Something is still aware. So we have a body, but we are not the body. The body has changed over such a course of many years. From when we were children to what we are now, the body has changed so much. None of the cells of the body, not even the longest, the 3-month-long bone marrow cells, not even that, all of the cells of the body are instantly changing. It's like the waters of Mother Ganga, never the same, always different. The cells of the body always changing. The body has changed. We have a body, but we are not the body. Our emotions, our feelings, our mind. We have a mind, but we are not the mind. Yeah, so much of when we feel angry or jealous or envious, we have these emotions. We don't always have these emotions, right? So clearly, we exist even when we are not anger. So we cannot be the emotions. We have emotion, we have a mind, but we are not the mind. We are not these emotions. So then who are we? Take that inquiry, that inquisitive inquiry deeper. कौन है हम? Bring your attention to the breath moving in and out of the body. It's like the breath, it's like the waves of the river, the waves of prana. We have breath, but we are not the breath. But the breath is a tool, it's a key. Is it a key to what does the breath unlock? The breath helps us unlock the experience of who we really are. So for a moment, let's look at the breath moving in and out of the body. Let's take a deep breath in. Slowly let it go. And there might be noises that you hear, whether it's the ambulance or the cars. Just allow the noises to pass. Keep your awareness on the breath. The breath is like our anchor. It's our raft. We hold on to the breath. Keep your awareness on the breath. Accepting any noise, any sound happening outside. Just bring your awareness, not associating with analyzing or engaging with that sound, but bring your awareness back to your breath. Now look to the breath moving in and out. Let me bring our awareness to the space in between our eyebrows, to the seat of viveka, to the seat of discrimination, the Agya Chakra. Continue to keep an awareness of the breath as we bring our attention to the space in between our eyebrows. And allow the breath, as it's coming in through the base of the nose, to hit the third eye. And then as you exhale out, down from the third eye, down through the base of the nose. Just for a moment, watching the breath moving in and out of this passage. From the base of the nose to the third eye. From the third eye down through the base of the nose. Notice the awareness is like, it's like a bloom that sweeps. It's like the waters of Mother Ganga that wash. Whatever is stuck, whatever is tense, whatever is mala, as you bring your awareness, slowly you try to wash. Slowly, you don't try, it just happens. So you bring your awareness from the base of the nose to the third eye and down from the third eye to the base of the nose. Something is just clearing that passage. And then from the third eye down through the base of the spine. So you breathe in from the base of the nose to the third eye and exhale out, bringing your awareness to the base of the spine, from the third eye to the base of the spine. As you breathe in, bringing your awareness from just 4 inches above the base of the spine, the Swadhisthana chakra, all the way to the third eye, up through the spine to the third eye. And now as you exhale down from the third eye, through the base, the Muladhara chakra. As you breathe in from the Swadhisthana, 4 inches above the base of the spine, breathing into the Agya, third eye. And as you exhale out from the third eye, down through the base of the spine, to the tailbone, to the Muladhara, the root chakra. Breathing in and breathing out, clearing the passage of your energy centers. This body is an instrument, it's a tool, it's a channel. The energy chakras, they are like magnets. Just for a moment, bringing our awareness to this passage, to this path of energy. And with our awareness, washing this path, clearing this path, allowing it to be a channel of grace, of prana, of life. Imagine as you breathe in and breathe out, the waters of Mother Ganga are just washing through you, through every part of you, every cell, every particle, every inch, every corner. As you breathe in and breathe out, bringing your attention back to the energy centers, rising up from Swadhisthana to the third eye, exhaling from the third eye to the root chakra, and continuing for a few moments up and down the spine. For a moment, bringing our awareness to the heart center, to the chakra. Breathing into the space. This is a space where we hold a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. There is also the space of great love, compassion. Bringing our awareness to the space. And then rising up and down the spine again. with the breath. Take a deep breath in. Slowly let it go. The awareness back to the body. Gently wiggle your fingers, your toes. Keep your eyes closed. Okay. Bring your hands to prayer at heart center. You can repeat the mantra after me. Asito ma. Asito ma. Sadegama. Sadegama. Kama soma. Kama soma. Jyotirgama. Jyotirgama. Mrityorma. Amritam Gama. Amritam Gama. All together. Oh. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. May we move from falsehood to truth. May we move from darkness to light. May we move from death to immortality. Rub your palms. Bring it to your eyes. Back to your head, your shoulders.